Okay, so we're gearing up for probably the last dune trip of the year. It's getting close to winter time here. So we got my son's Yamaha YXZ. He's doing some work on it, wiring up a bunch of accessories. We built this little dash panel to go over this cubby. So he's got a intercom and a bunch of accessories wiring up. He did a dome light, nice LED light strip, really lights it up in here. There's the rugged radios, intercom. What else? Lighted whips, a rear chase bar, and then there's two extra switches because soon we're gonna build a new front bumper and put a pair of lights on there, and maybe some up here. And then mine, I went ahead and I got my sand tires put on. I kind of cleaned up, I removed a bunch of stickers off the side. They were getting all thrashed. Stuck a couple on the bottom just to break it up because it's so plain on the side. But I kind of cleaned it up a little bit. This side looks pretty nice, but the driver's side looks pretty rough. This is the side it's been rolled onto twice. So the paneling's getting pretty beat up. It's all weird and wavy and squished in spots where the plastic got pinched between the tubes and rocks. So this side just needs to be replaced. But got the tires on. So I run Sand Tires Unlimited 1300s in the back. They're just like your basic old school buggy paddle. And then these are UTV tires. They're System 3 SS 360s. They're like a 32, 11, 15 or something like that. 32, 12, 15. They work pretty good. They don't steer very well. I've been playing around with air pressure. We did a little bit of mod, cut these every other paddle on the outside off, and that helped a little bit. People say basically to get the outside of the tires smoother, it disrupts the sand less and helps the tire to kind of stay in a groove. So I might cut these off next and see how that does. I'm not really sold on these. I do like them just because they're super light. They put down a big footprint, which for my little 1.3 engine definitely helps in the sand. I've taken it out a couple times on my 33 1050 BFGs, and those things just dig. Doesn't matter how much air I let out. They just don't really spread out. But you know, in the dirt and the rocks and stuff, I love them. They've been great. They've got probably about 300 race miles on them, and I haven't had a single flat, nothing. They just keep going. They're a little rounded off from all the, you know, a lot of those miles are in the rocks, you know, a Rubicon Trail trip and some other stuff like that, but super happy with those. But still playing around with sand tires, trying to figure out what to do. When I get some more power, I'm sure they'll work a lot better. But just the flotation by itself is huge. And these are just a basic 10-inch wheel, 10-inch aluminum wheel. And this tire and wheel package is 20 plus pounds, like 21 pounds or somewhere in there, lighter per corner than those. So that helps a lot. But they do, like if I get down in a deep hole or something, you know, I don't have the power to really light them up, but they'll just keep on tractoring through, and it climbs pretty darn good. I'm sure there's probably something better out there for the amount of power I have, but I'm getting real close on the turbo engine swap. I've got some parts down at a local hot rod shop being welded. I don't do TIG welding. So I got some aluminum parts for the intercooler piping and the intake piping. I'm getting some stuff welded up, trying to get it 100% ready just to drop in, so I don't have the motor sitting there and then having to build parts. So, getting close. I know I feel like I keep saying that, but man, it's been a lot of work and been busy trying to make money. So for this trip, I threw the windshield on. Probably going to be pretty cold where we're going. The inside's a mess. I had it sitting outside and glove box got wet inside. It's time for a new cover. A couple of videos back, I showed I changed out the springs, and so I'm excited to see how those do. I'm bringing another pair just in case what I put in is too light. Right now I've got 150s over 150s, and if it bottoms out too easily, then I'll switch these out. These are 175s, and these are the bottom springs. That's about it. This thing lately has just been super reliable. I really haven't had to do anything to it. I do have a power steering leak I can't seem to figure out. I think it's just coming out of the box. But it was just like an old, basically junkyard box I put in when I built it. So at some point I'm going to need to find a seal kit for this steering box. It's like a 86 and up Toyota IFS truck steering box. But, so yeah, basically getting this thing all ready to roll. Gonna get it loaded up here in the trailer, and we'll catch back up when we're out in the sand. I'm gonna try to get more prepared this time and set up like a tripod and stuff, and try to get some good footage of this thing going through the whoops to figure out my next step on shock valving. I'm sure I've talked about it before, but when I first built this, I had built it with a rear sway bar and not one in the front, just the rear, and that was because that seems to be a pretty popular thing that guys do for like Ultra 4. But didn't really work out. It was just pretty unstable in the front. And so later I added a front sway bar. But before I did the front sway bar, I had pulled these shocks apart and basically tightened up the valving. Put in new pistons so I could do smaller free bleeds to try to tighten up the low speed. And that helped quite a bit. But then, since then I added the sway bar, and I haven't pulled these shocks back apart yet. So it's a little stiff in the small choppy stuff, especially like if I get in close behind people with paddles, they leave a real ripply, washboard track behind them. And when I get in it, it's kind of rough. So, on this trip, I want to get some good footage, and I definitely know I want to put more free bleed back in the front shocks, but I'm not sure what else it's going to need. So I want to get as much information as I can and try to get it really set up. I kind of feel like I need less rebound damping. It's hard to tell when you're driving, and going off of feel, but to me it feels like the front end is not, you hit a big, like going through the whoops, you hit a whoop, and I feel like the front's not coming out quick enough in time for the next one. So it's packing up. But then again, it's hard to tell. That's just kind of what it feels like. And so I will, try to see this from the outside, probably even have my son drive it or somebody else drive it so I can watch it from the outside as well as video it. Okay, so now I'm back from the dune trip. Went okay. I had some issues. I didn't get very much footage because I was kind of discouraged with some stuff. But I did do a little testing with the new springs. I basically have one video clip or two video clips going through the whoops. But a while back I showed putting new springs on the back. And overall, super happy. Big difference for the better. The whoops this weekend at the dunes were huge. Not sure if it's the wind or just a lot of traffic, but definitely bigger than normal. And I was able to hit them faster than normal. So I think with a normal kind of size whoops that I'm used to, this thing be pretty great. So it definitely ate the bumps a lot better. It bottoms out more often, but you know, the way I see it, if you never bottom out, then your springs are too stiff, or your suspension's too stiff. So the biggest hits, it would bottom, but I really never did play with my secondary nut adjustment. If I drop this down a little bit, I think it'll help. So I'm gonna leave these springs. Again, this is a 150 over a 150. I'm gonna leave them alone until the next trip, and then I will start playing with these. And so what kind of slowed me down from getting a whole lot of testing in was my power steering. I've got a TC style pump. This is from PSC. Super happy with this pump. What I'm not happy with is this little belt. So it's a 4-rib serpentine, and it threw this belt so many times. About a year, maybe even 2 years ago, I was having issues with that, and I thought I had it fixed, but it started flying off again. So I just got done messing with these brackets. I've oiled these holes out a little bit. I put a digital angle finder on the crank, and then I put it on this plate because the angle, looking at it from the side, this was off a little. And as far as I can measure, my alignment in and out seems good. I think what I'm going to try next is putting an idler wheel right here on the slack side, because when this thing gets wound up, you see this belt start twisting like this, like it gets like a harmonic going, and then it flies off. So I'm going to try putting a tensioner on this side. If that doesn't work, then I think I might switch out these pulleys and go to a V-belt. So driving this thing without power steering was a real nightmare. You know, I've got the dirt tires on it now, but in the sand I have 10-inch wide wheels and 1250 width front tires. And between that and a small steering wheel and the steering quickener, this is a 1.5 to 1. So it's very, very hard to steer without the power steering working. I ended up driving for about a day and a half on the trip without power steering at all, just because I got tired of dealing with the belts. And I got really stuck once, and almost crashed it a couple times just due to not being able to steer fast enough. So yeah, I'm gonna start working on finding an idler pulley to put on here. I'll have to build some new brackets and see if that does it. So I'll put up the footage. I got a couple passes going through some pretty deep whoops. The first video is kind of running through at the top of 3rd gear, and then the second one, I tried to go faster, which generally helps, but that was in 4th gear. So I'll put those up, and then probably a couple pictures of, I got some still shots of the trip. But again, I was so discouraged fighting with this thing that I just really never got out and got any good footage. But hopefully you like what you see, and let me know what you think. You know, watching the video, the shock tuning is definitely getting in the ballpark, and the control and the ride, I'm really pretty happy with. I'm not sure. The only thing that really I think is left is I might open up my free bleed a little bit, just because when I get in the tire tracks of people with big paddles, you know, it's real washboardy, and that's just kind of harsh and puts a lot of like chatter. And so I might open up the free bleed ports a little bit in the shocks to help deal with that. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Here's a shot of me getting stuck. I couldn't make a corner with the power steering being out. So that pretty much wraps it up for this trip. I'll get better footage on the next one. Thanks for watching.